Hey guys, welcome back. Fishing 101 The Basics. Today we're going to put a few lures in your tackle box, then we're going to go out in the lake. I'm going to show you how I use them. Stick with me. Alright, looks a little different. We are at the lake. Bob and I brought our campers out a couple days ago. We will be here till November. Got to kind of move the campers around once in a while, but you'll start seeing a lot more content going to be coming from here at the lake from now on. Alright, lures we're going to put in your tackle box to start. We're going to keep it simple. 3 lures, variations of each. That's enough to catch some fish. We are going to start out with the tried and true Beetle Spin. Basically, I just have a jig head, rubber body, and a spinner blade above it. Basically almost like a miniature spinner that you'd have for bass. This will work well for the bass, it'll work for crappie, it'll work for bluegill. Now, this has got the true Beetle Spin rubber body on it. But here's another one variation. I've got a bigger body that's got like a paddle tail. Here's one, again, change rubber body, now it's just got a straight tail. And then you can take that same thing, and here's more of a blue ice white color. Or we'll take the same thing again, and now we'll go with the curly tail. So you have all different kinds of bodies for just really the same basic lure. So one style of lure, but you'll have 4, 5, 6 different lures here just in the one style. Next thing we're going to go with is a Roadrunner. This is the Roadrunner style. This is an 1/8 ounce head. Got the blade underneath it. This one happens to have a feathery tail, but you wouldn't know it. It's an older lure. I've used this quite a few times. Caught fish with it. You know what, we'll go out today and I bet it still catches fish as old and as grungy looking as it is. This will come 1/8 ounce. You can get this 1/16 ounce. You can also take this and not have the feathery body. You can have the plain hook, and then you can put the rubber bodies on this. So again, here's one lure that you can change it 3, 4, 5 different ways to get different styles, different colors of lures. Last thing we're going to do, which should be the first thing probably, and that's the jig. That's the lure that's going to catch you just about anything. Nice, simple, basic. This is a 1/8 ounce white marabou jig. Here's the same thing in 1/16 ounce in a yellow. Another one here, white head. It's got a pink body. But the jig, just your nice basic plain jig, is going to catch anything you need. Now, depending what rods and reels you're using, if you've got an ultralight, you're probably going to have no trouble throwing this 1/8 ounce. But even the 1/16 ounce sometimes can get a little bit tough to throw even with an ultralight. So here we've got our bobbers along. Let's take that jig, let's take a bobber, let's put it about 2 feet up. We got the weight to cast. Now your jig will sink down no more than a couple feet. Early in the spring, those fish are up in the shallow areas like they are right now. They're going to be in that top 2-foot column of water anyway. Nice thing here also is if you got kids, grandkids or whatever, the weight of the bobber gives them a little more weight to make it easier for them to cast. More importantly, kids get distracted. Halfway in, they stop and they start looking around at a worm they saw on the ground or a bird went by. The jig isn't going to go down, getting the bottom and getting all the gunk. It's basically going to sit there while that bobber's bouncing along. And then the nice part is sometimes that bobber's bouncing along on the waves out there in the wind and causing that jig to go like that. And the next thing you know, they catch a fish by accident. I think Bob does that sometimes, if I remember right. But that is 3 basic lures. A jig, maybe 1/8 ounce, 1/16 ounce, maybe down to a 32nd ounce. That will work. The old Beetle Spin, and then all the different kinds of tails you'd like to put on it, and then the basic Roadrunner. 3 lures, multiple styles, will get you started. Alright, the boat's hooked up. Let's get out in the lake, and let me show you how I use these 3 styles of lures. Alright, let's start out with a Beetle Spin. Got the small one here, 1/8 ounce, yellow head. Got the kind of that white body or white ice color to it. Thought the whiter color had been working lately, so we thought we'd try that. So how are we going to retrieve it? We're in the boat. We're just, oh, there we go, hang on a second. Got one. Get up to Minute on that. Where are you at, little guy? I feel you. There we are. There we go. Little bass, probably 10, 12 inch, something like that, but it's a start. Okay, how was I retrieving that? Let me get back to that. In the boat, and I'm just throwing up to the bank, up towards the cover. Because it's shallow up there, I'm just starting to bring it back right away. Kind of slow, easy retrieve. Kind of pop my rod tip a little once in a while, just to add a little extra action to it. Now, if you're on the bank, you're throwing out the deeper water. So now you might want to let it sink for a while. So now you might take and cast that out. You might count down 3, 4, 5, 6 count, and then start bringing it in. That lets it get down a little deeper, and you'll have to experiment with that. Maybe you'll count it down to 4 or 5. Maybe you count it down to 7 or 8. Whatever's going to work out for you. And the nice thing of the Beetle Spin is, you know, if this body wasn't working, I don't have to take the whole lure off. If that white ice wasn't working, I could take that tail off that, continue with the same lure, just put a different body on it, change colors around until I find one that the fish like. So that's real advantage working with something like the Beetle Spin. You might have the same lure tied on all the time, but you can turn that thing into 4, 5, 6 different lures, depending how often you change that rubber body that's on there. There we go. Another little one, huh? I don't think you're as big as the last one, are you? Yeah, maybe about the same. But hey guys, same thing. We just changed up a little bit. Just caught that other one. Decided to make a change. I just put a little paddle tail body on, made the change over. Picked up one with that. Alright guys, let's switch over. Going to go with a white 1/8 ounce jig. Gonna switch over, try a jig for a little while here. Basically, for me, it's not going to be a whole lot different than if I was doing that Beetle Spin. Just going to put it into the bank, bring it back kind of slow. I'm going to do some, there we go, wiggling up and down with it. There we go. That's the way to start out when you change a lure, isn't it? Right off the bat. See if we can get him up in, there we go. Another little bass. I was hoping for a crappie, but we'll take what we get. There we go, another little one, but there it is, just that white 1/8 ounce jig. I'm using an ultralight, so I can throw that without a bobber, but like I told you, if you need a bobber, just put a little bobber above it, and that'll allow you to get a little more weight to it. You know guys, panfish can be awful finicky, so if you're throwing this 1/8 ounce jig like I did now, and it's not working, don't hesitate to move down to a 1/16 ounce, maybe even a 32nd. Now you're going to need a bobber probably to throw those. But I'll tell you what, you'll be amazed. They'll find the difference sometimes. You can't get those fish to hit that 1/8 ounce. But you move down to a 1/16th, you move down to a 32nd, and sometimes that can make all the difference in the world. There we go, found somebody. Yeah, got somebody on here. Well, there we go. That's fish we were looking for. Spent most of the day looking for one of these. Found a crappie. Not the biggest one. Bob was doing a little bigger than that the other day, but there we go guys. Found a crappie anyway on the white jig. Alright, lure number 3. We're going to go with that Roadrunner. The redhead, got the blade underneath. A 1/8 ounce Roadrunner. So everything's about an 1/8 ounce I'm throwing today. And again, the retrieve is almost exactly the same as the Beetle Spin or the jig. Just going to slow, easy retrieve. I might jiggle my rod a little bit. Now I'll spend more time jiggling that rod up and down with the jig than I will with the ones with the spinners. And the main reason is the jig doesn't have a spinner. So to try to give it a little more action, I'm going to spend a little more time bouncing that up and down. But the Roadrunner is going to be just like the others. Again, if you're on the bank, then you're probably going to be in a position where you're going to have to let it sink depending on how deep a water you're fishing. Give it that countdown, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you need, till you figure out what depth you can fish without getting it down in the weeds and the muck and the mud in the bottom of the pond. Ooh, about got me a turtle that time. Sorry, turtles. Didn't mean it to go right exactly where it went. Not every cast is perfect. Yep, there we go. But I found a fish anyway. Even if the cast wasn't right, the fish doesn't know any better, right? Don't tell the fish that cast wasn't supposed to go there. There we go. All right. Nice little bass. They're all small ones. We're not doing anything big today, but we're not really fishing for big fish. We're just fishing for fish. All right. Let's see if we can get another one on that Roadrunner, huh? Got one. There we go. That's the Roadrunner, huh? Tell you, the ultralight fishing is a lot of fun. They feel a whole lot bigger with the ultralight. Where you at? There you go. Hey, well, you're a little bigger than the other ones were. That's why. There we go. All right, guys, with the Roadrunner. There we go. That small 1/8 ounce Roadrunner. Well, guys, there's 3 lures that'll get you started: a Beetle Spin type, a jig, and a Roadrunner. All 3, various sizes, 1/8 ounce, 16th ounce, 32nd, whatever you want. Those 3 catch a lot of fish. Thanks for sticking with me. Subscribe to the channel if you would. Hope to see you again real soon.